Coming up on Let's Get to the Points.
So I'm just going to stick to Marriott for next year.
Miguel, are you really ready to walk away from Hyatt? Are you really ready to do that?
I'm looking at 4 other globalists here, so maybe one of them would book me a guest of honor reservation next year if I needed to. I could transfer the points to them.
You're so lucky you have that.
Absolutely.
But what do we get in return? Because you can't do that with Marriott, right?
Yeah.
I know, it sucks.
And later.
How can I fly business class to Japan and Taiwan on points and miles?
So, Nicole, what advice are you going to give Jackie?
To go to Japan, I highly recommend AA Miles to book Japan Airlines.
Now, let's get to the points. From passion for points, it's Serena. From points to travel expert, it's Keholani. From travel sergeant, it's Miguel. From Nicole's travel tips, it's Nicole. And from seat to a suite, it's Mitch Shannon.
Hello and welcome to Let's Get to the Points, audio and video podcast, bringing you the very best in tips and tricks in the world of miles, points, and travel. I'm Mitch Shannon, and I'm joined by the very best Instagram social media content creators in all things points, miles, and travel. First up, from Passion for Points, it's Serena.
Hi.
From Points to Travel Expert, it's Kay Halani.
Aloha mai kako.
From the Travel Sergeant, it's Miguel.
Hello.
And from Nicole's Travel Tips, it's Nicole.
Hi, everyone.
Before we start, please hit the like button and make sure you subscribe now to our podcast wherever you watch or listen. You'll find the video and audio versions on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify at Let's Get to the Points. Also, make sure to connect with us via our social media accounts. Let's do it, gang. Let's get to the points. Okay, everyone, it's officially summer and everyone is traveling or they've got some type of travel plans, including all of us. So let's get right to it and let's get to some of the more popular news going around our world in the points of miles and travel this week. And we're going to start with Serena and Kay Halani. And you got a little thing you're both going to talk with us about this week, right?
Right.
Yes.
We're going to talk about FlightConnections. And FlightConnections is a free tool. It's a website that you can use to identify nonstop routes between 2 different destinations. There's a free version and there's also a paid premium version, but I just use the free version. And so I use this tool to build my summer trip. I like to start by searching with the destination, and that seems counterintuitive, but if I know that I want to end up at a certain location, it's helpful to know from where I can fly to that destination nonstop. So, for example, I want to fly to Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic. There are no nonstops from San Francisco, so I need to figure out a way to get there from another city. So I will use FlightConnections to see from which city I can fly nonstop to Punta Cana. And some options are Dallas, Chicago, New York, and even Miami. We can go and visit Nicole. But I wanted to take this opportunity to actually see a new to us city, which ended up being Toronto. So when you click on the city, you could see the airlines that fly that route and also on which days of the week that they fly. And you can also see timetables and check cash prices. So for my example, I will then use that information and then take it to Air Canada Aeroplan, which is the airline that flies between Toronto and Punta Cana. And then I will look on Aeroplan's website to see what kind of award tickets I can find. Kay Halani, what do you think about this tool?
I don't start on Google Flights because I'm not looking to pay for my flight. When I'm usually looking for flights for myself or my family, we're flying non-rev or we're booking a ticket on points. So FlightConnections is my go-to place. In order to use FlightConnections, I first go to the tab called Airlines and I type in my airlines. Then I zoom in and choose the city that I would like to depart from or arrive at to look for the routes I'm looking for. And with this, I'm keeping in mind the different types of airlines I want to fly on. And I also use a transfer partner cheat sheet, which shows me which types of points can transfer to different airlines. So I have all of these things in mind while I'm looking at these routes. And I piece together all of my flights, and that's how we find good deals or book the most convenient flight that we can find.
I love the idea of FlightConnections. A light bulb went off when Serena mentioned that she chose Toronto because that was a city she's never been to before. But I will definitely use this tool in planning the next trip. I do usually start with Google Flights, and that's a good point, Kehelani, that if I'm not planning to pay for the flights, this is a better option.
I have it too. I do have the paid version. And I guess the main difference is you get ads if you do the free version, and it doesn't let you filter as many things. So with the paid version, I'm able to filter out by alliance. So if I want to use a specific type of points, like say Avianca Life Miles, I know that that's Star Alliance, and I could just filter what route can I take to my destination using a combination of those carriers. And then you can also filter by cabin. So you could do business first. If you want to fly a particular cabin or aircraft, you can filter all that as well. That's the only difference between the paid version and the free version.
I also find when I'm on FlightConnections that it's pretty accurate. Whenever you click on which route that you want to go on, when you tap on that city, it's going to show on the left side what days that route runs on. And that's how I found a route from Honolulu to Japan that's going to start in October on United Airlines.
That's a good point, because if you just start on Google Flights, it's not going to tell you unless you're specifically looking for an airline. But in FlightConnections, it's going to tell you this ends in October. Maybe it's a seasonal route, or it begins in this date, or it's only flown Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday for this route. So that's the other good thing about FlightConnections.
Yeah, I remember seeing that tool that tells you what days they fly on, and that's very helpful.
Yeah, I love the days of the week feature too. And I also love what Miguel mentioned about when the route is ending or beginning, because that's very helpful for planning too. Nicole, what do you have for us this week?
All right, so this week, Southwest had a sale for 40% off flights. Now, while this is great if you're planning to book a new flight, you can find a great deal. It also works if you already have a flight planned and you purchase with Southwest. Southwest allows you to reprice your flights, whether you paid with points or you paid with cash. The marathoner in me was looking for a race to do in October and September. And I was looking at the Indianapolis half marathon. And Southwest, one of the issues is I don't have a lot of direct flights from Miami or Fort Lauderdale to a lot of places. Lo and behold, Indy was one of the direct flights from Fort Lauderdale. And so I had booked it because the price was decent. But then when the sale came up, I went in, rebooked it, and I saved $75 each leg. So almost 50% off the price I had just booked it a few days ago. I mean, I have always checked my flights whenever a sale comes up in Southwest. Sometimes I save $1 and I take the dollar, and sometimes I save $20, but you can do this over and over until the day before your flight. So you can consistently get money back on flights you already booked. Have any of you ever used this feature in Southwest where you rebooked a flight, and what's the most amount of money you've saved?
I have. I don't remember the amount of money, but if I booked it with points, you'll get, when you're looking to change a flight, it'll have negative, however many points you're going to get back. So I have used that. I also did it with a Marriott stay when I went to the Maldives. I had booked it maybe like 3 days before a trip. I went in and I put modify, and I got back I remember 20 or 30,000 points back. So I was like, it works with them too.
The reason I booked this with cash was Southwest is my chosen airline for American Express. And I wanted to utilize that $200 credit that you get for airlines. The good thing is it doesn't charge it back to American Express. So I get the points back in Southwest and I still get to utilize that $200 credit.
I think Southwest is great for making changes. So what I have done for all my Southwest flights is I set myself a reminder once a week, every Tuesday, because Tuesday, Wednesday is when they usually have the deals. And I'll check every week on Tuesday to see if any of my flights have changed or gone down in price so I can reprice them.
And one of the things with the Southwest benefit is I have Companion Pass. I remember some people on Instagram saying that if you had a companion attached, you would have to deselect the companion, reprice the flight, and then add the companion back. But I was able to use the chat feature and have the customer service agent reprice it for me without detaching my companion. I'm learning how to use this chat feature, and I realize it is so much more helpful than waiting on hold and listening to elevator music while you wait for an agent to pick up. Miguel, what do you have for us?
So I was going to talk about chasing status. We see a lot of people, especially people that create content regarding travel, award travel, points and miles stuff, talk about status. And I feel like maybe that makes people want to chase status and they want to have that status, but is it always worth it? So I had recently booked a 12-night mattress run in Vegas so I could requalify for a high globalist, but I took too long in actually booking my flight. So my flight to Vegas round trip originally was about $100, a little over $100. It was on Allegiant and then coming back on Frontier. So I was going to go for a day, check in and come back. But I took too long. And when I went to actually pay for my flights, I said, all right, I need to book my flights now. It had gone up to $400. So that extra $350 I wasn't prepared for. And I felt that I didn't want to do it just to requalify as a globalist. So I ended up canceling my stay, and I just decided that I'm not going to pursue Hyatt Globalist next year. I don't think I'll earn it organically by the stays that I have throughout the year. So I'm just kind of going to let go of that and kind of stick to Marriott, since I'm closer to earning status with them because of the cards that I hold with Marriott.
That's a good point, Miguel. I thought about that with my American Airlines status for this year. I have entered into that status challenge where it renews every 3 months and then you have to make certain benchmarks. And I'm at the last leg and I'm thinking, is it worth it to spend the money here just to get American Airlines status when I don't travel them as much? While the upgrade is great, but wouldn't it be better to spend that money on a new card, earn the points, and then use those points to buy premium cabins on a different airline? So I like the reconsideration and not just chasing it for the name of chasing it.
Guilty of it myself, but we just glorify it like, oh, it's so great. And it is, you could get a lot of value from it. You have to look at the opportunity cost. What are you not doing because you're doing this? And we kind of get carried away in saying, I'm going to get, these benefits out of it, but is it worth giving up other things that you're not doing? Or what else could you be doing with your time and your money?
This year, what I did is I made a spreadsheet and I started from January to calculate what I'm spending the points on, what am I earning, on the value that I'm getting out of it, so that I can quantify, is it worth it? Because unless you put those numbers on paper and calculate it, it's kind of hard to tell. It feels like you're getting value out of it because you have this great stay, you get a lot of breakfasts, whatever upgrades you get in the suites, but you really want to put pen to paper and see if it makes sense. And that's advice from the math teacher.
And the other thing is, I'm looking at 4 other globalists here, so maybe one of them would book me a guest of honor reservation next year if I needed to. I could transfer the points to them.
You're so lucky. You have us.
Absolutely.
But what do we get in return? Because you can't do that with Marriott, right?
Yeah.
I know, it sucks.
No,
You get minimum spend.
us in the Marriott lounge.
No, you can't share your status with Marriott, but you could transfer points. You could do it online now, so that's really great.
It really needs to be worth it, because if you are not utilizing that status at your globalist breakfast or any of the brands that you want status with, it's not worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think it goes for everything, even like airlines too, airline status, like Southwest Companion Pass. I decided not to go for it for this year because I'm hardly flying Southwest with my family this year. So it didn't make sense for me to go for it at the end of last year.
So I'm just going to stick to Marriott for next year. What about you, Mitch? You're going to pursue Globalist again?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you and I and maybe the entire team, we're going to have a huge disagreement about this between Marriott and Hyatt, because, a couple of weeks ago, I was talking with a couple of friends and we were talking about Marriott and how many different credit cards they offer between Chase and Amex, and actually just how confusing and convoluted their entire program is. But they were asking me about picking up one of these new cards. I think you guys have seen some of these. They've got a couple new offers out on a few of their cards that they have. This is a lot of B's that I'm going to be talking about too. So I honestly think Bonvoy Marriott program, it's really scraping the bottom of the barrel with all their points and miles and the value out of that these days. But there's some decent uses of their points, and it's not really anything that anyone gets excited over. But in the past few weeks, Chase and Amex, they've announced some increased offers on their cards. I'm just going to go over them, highlight a couple of them, and then we can talk about them and see what you all think about this. So first is the American Express Marriott Bonvoy Brilliant card. It's got that huge $650 annual fee, but it comes with a platinum status, which gives you the breakfast and lounge access. They're offering 150,000 Marriott Bonvoy points after you make $6,000 in purchases in the first 6 months. Next is the Amex Marriott Bonvoy Bevy card. Wow, that's a lot of B's. It's got a $250 annual fee. Not worth it in my opinion, but they're offering 125,000 points for $5,000 spend in the first 6 months. Now, over on the Chase side, they're offering the Bonvoy Boundless card. That's got a $95 annual fee, and it's got 75,000 bonus points with $3,000 spend in the first 6 months. And the Chase Marriott Bonvoy Bold, it's got no annual fee, and they're offering 50,000 Marriott points after spending $1,000 in the first 6 months. Now, what's kind of interesting about all these cards, they come with an additional 50,000 Marriott Bonvoy points if you stay 6 eligible paid nights at participating hotels at Marriott Bonvoy by January 31st of next year, 2024. I'm just really skimming all of these offers and the sign up. So I'm just going to kind of throw it out there to you. Are any of you even interested in these? Does that special offer of staying 6 nights and getting the additional 50,000, does that sway you in any way?
So I already have most of them, so I can't get them again. But so I personally, I have the Amex Bonvoy Business Card and the Amex Brilliant. But I haven't paid the $650 yet, so I've had it for a couple of years. The annual fee used to be $450. Then my wife has the Boundless card, and she also has the business card with Amex. So yeah, you're right. The program is so convoluted so that it's very hard for you to decipher whether you're even eligible for a bonus, because they have these rules to where if you had a certain card and got a bonus within, however many months ago, you're not eligible for a bonus with the competing bank. So it's very hard. There's some blogs out there that have tried to decipher making tables and stuff. So it's hard to know if you're even eligible. As far as the bonus, I think it's good if you have a strategy to, again, go and use those points somewhere, because there are some good redemptions out there, but they're not as easy to come by. So there's a couple cards that you can apply for, but that I just want to bring in because they're Marriott cards. So with Chase, if you have either the Bold or the Boundless card, the personal cards, after you've had it for a year, you can call and do a product change and get the Ritz-Carlton card. I think that's probably a better card than the Brilliant for the annual fee and what you get as far as the free night certificates every year. And then there's also a personal card with American Express that you can downgrade your Brilliant to. So I might be doing that this year. My annual fees due, I think, in November, December. So once that $650 annual fee comes, I'm probably going to try to see if I can downgrade to that one that you can't directly apply for. And I think the annual fee on that one's $125, I believe. So what do you guys think?
So many years ago, we would pay cash stays to stay at Marriott, and we've earned platinum doing that. And that was back when rooms were like $100 a night. So we look for rooms like that, and not impossible to do with earning points from credit card sign-up bonuses. So it's not like Hyatt at all.
I have the Amex Business Marriott cards too, and it's got a $125 annual fee. It comes with a $35K certificate, and I'm actually thinking about canceling it because I feel like I'm being forced to use it every year. I do end up using them, but I'm just not sure how I'm going to use it next year. So I might cancel it.
I have none of the Marriott cards. I don't even think I've stayed in a Marriott in the last 18 months. I used to stay there a lot for soccer because they required us to stay in a certain hotel. And then I realized no one's checking if you actually stayed at the hotel. So then I just ditched Marriott, and I have like 25,000 points just hanging out there. I'm like, what am I going to do with that? I can't even get a room with 25,000 points. I might as well just pay the fee and transfer it.
You can donate them to me.
You can donate it to him and become guest of honor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, a few months ago, they actually made it possible now for you to transfer points from any Marriott member to another Marriott member up to 100,000 per year. And you can do it online now. So previously you had to call over the phone, but now you can just go online and transfer up to 100,000 points per year to another member. For yourself, you can receive a total of 500,000 points from 5 different people per year. So if you want to send me your points that you're not using, I'll send you my member number.
They are on the way.
So, Pora and I, we are both lifetime platinum members with Marriott. And if you asking me, we both think Marriott's done a really, really bad job of offering any really good value. And they're really having a hard time having their brands actually really honor the elite benefits properly. So, Miguel, are you really ready to walk away from Hyatt? Are you really ready to do that?
I've had good experiences with Marriott. I've used the Sweet Night Awards. You can choose to get 5 when you hit 50 elite nights per year. And so I've gotten great value from those. Last year, I used one at the St. Regis in Rome. So I used a 85,000 point free night certificate for the standard room. Then I used a Sweet Night Award and got upgraded to a suite that was going for like over 2,000 euros a night. So I think it's great. I have really not that many complaints as far as the Sweet Night Awards being applied to reservations. I know people have a hard time with that here in the US, but overseas I hear more stories about them clearing. So
we love the Marriott program. What I find is that it's also really great for business travelers. So that's how we've earned platinum last year, and we're going to hit titanium this year. We have one more night to reach that, and that's from Vic's Work Travel. Another great thing about Marriott is that it's good for family travel. We used to stay at a lot of Residence Inns, also the complimentary breakfast. it was really worth the money back then.
Yeah, so if we're staying at a Marriott, it's going to be a Residence Inn, it's going to be a Fairfield, it'll be a town place. So it's going to be one of those where you can have a suite, like a 1-bedroom suite. You'll have more space, but it also has usually a kitchenette and also free breakfast, even with no status. So I like those Marriott brands where people with no status can still get a lot of space and free breakfast.
I think it makes sense if you're sitting on a stash of maybe Marriott points and you're doing this big trip, aspirational trip to the Maldives or somewhere where, breakfast is expensive, $50 or more per person. Now, if you get this card and you get the breakfast free, that kind of pays for itself for that first year. So I think with almost any card that you get a bonus, they're always worth it the first year. So is it worth it? I would just say yes, the first year, without even knowing your circumstances.
Yeah, so last year I was 3 nights away from Marriott Platinum status, but I decided not to go for it because I didn't have enough Marriott stays this year to make it worthy. So I think this is just something that everyone needs to determine for themselves and their own travel lifestyle and whether, these cards make sense for them. For me personally, when you book award stays with Marriott, you are still charged the resort fees at these properties, and they can be as high as $60, $80 sometimes. And so that's something that you have to think about it because it adds up, especially when you're staying multiple days somewhere.
Yeah, I feel like this is a discussion that we could continue to have, continuing on and on. And I'm going to be interested to see if Miguel comes crawling back to Hyatt next year. Should we make a recording? Should we, what should we do just to kind of see what he,
But the only way that will work if nobody books some guest of honor. That's the only way.
Spoil Miguel.
Nobody can book him guest of honor, so he can really feel it.
I think that's a good plan. All right. Thanks, everyone. I think it's time to move on to our weekly recap. All right, it's time for our weekly recap. We're always busy booking trips and learning insider lessons, and this is the segment where we share those stories with you. So we're going to start with Miguel, and I don't know. You made a Marriott booking this week. Should we even talk about that?
Yeah, well, so I actually have for a trip to Tokyo and to Korea, I booked the Park Hyatt, but I did points advance. I've initiated the transfer from my dad's account to my account. You need to have the points in your account 7 days prior to your stay. And because I'm not sure the points are going to hit my account, I booked a Marriott hotel for those 3 nights just in case I don't get my Hyatt points in time. So I booked the JW Marriott in Seoul for 166,000 points for 3 nights. The Hyatt was only going to be 71,000 points for the same 3 nights, but if I don't get my points in time, I'll probably stay at the JW.
I mean, talking about opportunity cost, right? We go from 71,000 points to 166,000 points. I don't think there's a math equation that says Marriott's better than Hyatt.
Marriott points are worth less. I mean, it depends on, where you get your valuations from and stuff, but Marriott points are usually worth about 0.7 cents per point, where Marriott is usually seen at least double that. So it's kind of on par, I think, with what it costs. I mean, I don't think either one of them is necessarily better redemption than the other one. Yeah, I mean, for Marriott, I think it's better. It's definitely better to book a 5-night stays because you get the 5th night free. So I don't really like booking less than 5 nights with Marriott or Hilton, but I might have to this time.
Marriott's kind of like Hilton. You need to gather your points, get your best redemption value, hit those high-end hotels. Don't waste it, in my opinion, at hotels that are like $200-$300 a night, unless you're getting very low rate on your points and you're getting a good value out of that. But that's what we do with ours. And grab some timeshare vacation packages to top off your points that way if you don't have enough.
Yeah, so I haven't done any of those timeshare presentations yet, but they do look enticing. So I'll probably do that at some point. And yeah, that's another good way to top up your points. You've done those timeshares, right, Keolani?
Yeah, we love going to timeshare presentations. We also got about 20 or 25,000 points at the Marriott Olina for doing maybe about a 2-hour presentation, doing a presentation over there. It was at the Marriott Olina, and we did a presentation where we are allowed to use the property throughout the day and into the night as long as we wanted, but we did not have a room for that night. And we earned about 20 or 25,000 Marriott points. So I wanted to go over choosing the best hotels for your stay. So there is a certain technique to get the best value for your stay, get the best upgrade, even get a better breakfast. And we've stayed in a lot of hotels, just like most of you, high-end hotels, if you're using points, over $1,000 a night. Also low-end hotels where you're paying like $30 or $100 a night. So some of the things you could do are, if you wanted to get an upgrade, look at the hotel's website and see what types of rooms they offer, because if they do not sell a suite, you won't be upgraded to a suite. Also think about how many beds that you need. You may not need to get 2 rooms. If you're a family of 5, for example, the Spring Hill Suites offers 2 beds and a pull-out sofa. So you can essentially fit more people in there and you don't need to get a connecting room. If you wanted to upgrade your room at a Hyatt, usually if you're a globalist, and you can be upgraded into a standard suite. But if you wanted to take a chance and get a premium suite, you could apply a suite upgrade award. Also, this award is earned at 50 nights with Hyatt, and you can take that award and apply it to your stay. This way you will have a standard suite given to you. Now, because you applied a suite upgrade award, sometimes the hotel can be nice and they will upgrade you on top of that and put you into a premium suite. So we have had that happen. Another thing to think about is third-party bookings and booking direct. If you are interested in earning loyalty status, it's good to book direct with the hotel. In some cases, if the 2 hotel chains are partners, you can also receive credit for your stay, but you would need to verify that prior. So be very careful of that if you are looking into earning loyalty status. Another thing is that we like to stay at hotels that are brand new that have just opened. The reason is you are more prone to get a better upgrade because they're so happy that you're there staying at their new hotel. When you choose your hotel, it's important to check that it is a brand new hotel that is newly built, that is being added to the hotel brand. If you choose a hotel that has been acquired, which means that it was a pre-existing hotel, it was another brand, then it was added into this big change, you're not going to get the same quality in your room type as you would as if it was a newly built hotel. If you have any questions about this, just put it in the comments right below. And Serena, how about you?
So I booked 2 properties at all-inclusive resorts. They're both Hyatt brand hotels. One is a Dreams property and the other is a Ziva property. I want to mention this because there's a little strategy to book these properties with points if you're bringing children. So when booking all-inclusives, you'll want to search for 2 adults and book with points for just the 2 adults. And then to add children, you can send a Twitter message to Hyatt Concierge and ask them to add your children for you. The best strategy is then to pay the cash rates for your children at the property. So for example, the cash rate for the Dreams property that I will be staying at is $63 per child per night. For the Ziva property, it will be $125 per child per night. And also different properties will have different pricing, so this will not work across all the same brands. If you want to use your points for your children, you can. And if you are flush with Hyatt points and want to use points for your children, it's probably better to use it for a second room for the kids so you'll have more space. I am not flush with points, so I chose to book these properties for the 2 adults with points, and then I paid cash for my children so I could save those extra points. Nicole, what did you book this week?
So I also booked a Hyatt this week and I learned a valuable lesson. So this year, I got Globalist and learned that you could book a Hyatt property in advance without having points in your account. I don't know what I was thinking, but I wanted to book a Hyatt in Sonoma Valley. It was on Twitter, I made the advance booking. I'm like, I'd like to book this room pending points. And the lady's like, oh, don't worry, I booked the reservation and I took the points out of your account. So I did have the points in my account, but I didn't want to use them to book the reservation. I guess I learned a valuable lesson there. So the advance booking only works when you don't have enough points, not when you want to make a reservation, but you're not quite committed to it. So I'm not sure if anyone else ever made that mistake, but just be wary of that. All right, Mitch, what about you? What did you book this week?
Yeah, Nicole, we're about a month away from our trip to Thailand and Japan. And last week I talked about how I booked an almost impossible restaurant reservation in Kyoto. So this week we were actually really drilling down our plans and what kind of tours we want to take for our trip. And I was somewhat taken back by how difficult it is is to find tour operators and get things booked with it over being like a month out. So it seems like the travel demand is bigger than what, I had expected for Japan. I was having some difficulty finding availability for tour operators, which now, I think about that and it doesn't really surprise me. I did, however, book a few private tours in Kyoto for our family and a few other things as well. I took the advice from you, Nicole, and Kay Helani, and I used some portals for cash back, which I kind of wanted to share on this episode. So I got some additional cash back. I got 10% cash back from Viator, and Rakuten was giving me 7.5% cash back. So I guess the best advice I can say right now is if you're going to be making some bookings for summer or any type of travel going on, you want to start looking as soon as you can, especially if you're going to be going to Japan, and make sure that you use a cashback portal as well when you're making these reservations.
Yeah, I use Viator a lot. And that's why I got a lot of American Airlines miles last year that helped build towards status. They usually have really good deals. I think a few days ago, they had one for up to 12 AA points per dollar spent. And it's important to note, I learned this from the Grady Bunch. If you're using Viator with American Airlines portal, you will not receive the points until after you complete your tour. So let's say your tour is in September, but you booked it today. Those points are not going to be deposited into your American Airlines points until after you take the tour in September. So make sure you keep that in mind with the status deadlines that are coming up.
Yeah, that's a good tip, Nicole. All right, thanks everyone. This is my favorite part of the show because I love hearing what you all have done and what you booked. So it's now time to move on to Ask Us.
Hi guys, my name is Jackie Figueroa, and I just wanted to say thank you for providing information and content through your podcast and your YouTube videos because they are very useful for someone who is brand new to travel hacking. So my question to you is, how can I fly business class on points to Japan and Taiwan, perhaps an overnight in Japan, on points and miles? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jackie, for your question. All right, gang, Jackie has asked us for our help. Japan and Asia in general are a very popular destination, and it can somewhat be difficult to find on points and miles. So, Nicole, what advice are you going to give Jackie?
To go to Japan, I highly recommend using AA miles to book Japan Airlines. You can get a one-way business class ticket for 60,000 American AA miles. In our last episode, we talked about the AA card that only requires one purchase and the annual fee to earn 70,000 miles. So you put those two together and there you go, you have your flight. All right, Miguel, how would you get to Japan?
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the best ways using American Airlines miles so far. And I kind of still want to say Alaska miles, but their rates have kind of increased a little bit recently. So I don't know if you'll still find the best deals by the time you get around to booking it. So yeah, I would just say AA miles.
So, hi Jackie, I used AA miles to get to Japan too last year, but to book this flight on Japan Airlines, you can also use British Airways Avios or Cathay Pacific Asia miles. The taxes and fees will be higher, but what the benefit of those is you can transfer from a lot of the different banks. And also their award calendar is actually open farther out than AA is available. So those with families that have strict schedules and firm dates, if you know your dates and you're firm with those dates, then I recommend booking with British Airways or Cathay Pacific so that you can snag those dates before the people with AA miles snag them later. And then Mitch, what do you think?
Yeah, I talked about this in our pilot episode, but Starlux Airlines, it's a new startup based in Taiwan, and it was recently announced that they're going to partner now with Alaska Airlines, and they plan to have that introductory redemption rate of 60,000 Alaska mileage plan miles for business class, and we should see that released very soon. And what's great with the Alaska program is they also offer that free stopover on award tickets, which would allow you to see the two countries for the cost of a one-way ticket, which that's always a nice little benefit. Alaska mileage plan miles aren't part of any major bank transfer partners, which can make them kind of difficult to obtain. And we've seen up to 90,000 Alaska mileage plan miles sign-up offers come on their credit card from Bank of America in the past. So this might be something that you want to keep in mind for a future trip, but definitely something to think about as you're making your plans to Japan and Taiwan in in the future. So thank you so much, everyone. And thank you, Jackie, for sending us your question. We want you on our show. So drop us a line on any one of our social media channels, or you can email us at letsgettothepoints@gmail.com. Before we wrap up, we recently did an Instagram story asking for your travel and points questions that you want our team of experts to answer. For those of you watching on Spotify and YouTube, look for them on your screen as we go around, and each of us will give our best short, quick response. All right, here we go. Flying Brian 76 wants to know, what is your favorite place to visit and why? Miguel.
I'm just going to say where I haven't been before because I like exploring new places. Nicole?
My favorite place to visit is definitely Jamaica. It has to be the food, the beach, and the people. They always say that there's no place like home, and I definitely agree. Jamaica is my favorite place to visit. Kehalani, where's your favorite place to visit?
It's the Maldives. It's so beautiful there. You get a quick tan. The service is excellent. You choose the right hotel. So actually, in order, it goes Maldives, Tahiti, and then Hawaii.
So for me, I like Japan because it's super duper clean and no tipping, which is so refreshing.
I'd have to say Thailand, and it's not just because my husband is Thai, but because I love the food. It's very affordable. It's a city I could actually see myself living in. And the quality and service of the hotels, I can guarantee you that you could stay at any middle tier level hotel that they've got, like the Marriott Renaissance in Bangkok, and it's going to far exceed any, probably one of the higher end properties you would find in the US. So Thailand for me. Okay, next Instagram question comes from CatStyle99, and they ask, since you all love Hyatt so much, what has been your favorite one you've stayed at so far? Favorite Hyatt, Miguel.
I guess I would say the Hyatt Regency Maui. Just it was our family's first time in Hawaii, and we got an upgrade to a ocean view suite and got a great view. Kids loved it. Nicole?
My favorite Hyatt is the Andas Papagayo in Costa Rica. They have activities on property. The food is great. The service is excellent. We stayed in a nice suite. Definitely my favorite property so far. Kehalani.
So far, our favorite Hyatt is the Alila Villas Uluwatu in Bali. It is excellent. Once you step foot on the property, you won't want to leave it. And this is verified because we met two really young people and they like to go around and do a lot of things. And they were hanging out there all week.
How about you, Serena?
So mine is the Park Hyatt Kyoto. Japanese hospitality is already outstanding, but Park Hyatt, they're a level above that. Amazing rooms, outstanding staff, fantastic location. So definitely check it out if you're in Japan. And Mitch?
Yeah, I'm with you there, Serena, on Park Hyatt. For us, it would have to be the Park Hyatt Bangkok. The service was incredible. The breakfast was very delicious. And the suite that they upgraded us to, it was just massive. And it was probably the most comfortable we've ever been in a hotel. So love that one, Park Hyatt Bangkok. Okay, final Instagram question comes from Myra697. And she sent us, how far in advance do we plan for our trips? Miguel.
I guess it depends. Sometimes I plan something for the next couple weeks. Very rarely do I plan that far ahead. But if it's a big trip, yeah, I probably plan like up to a year in advance. How about you, Nicole?
I try to plan the refundable ones at least 6 to 9 months in advance because of the school schedule. But sometimes something comes up in the moment and we have to cancel and rebook and we get a better deal. So I agree. It really depends. How about you, Serena?
So I'm usually a year plus out planner, and I don't always book it at that time because I don't always have the points ready, but I usually have an idea of where I want to go so that when I have the points ready, I could book it right away. Kehalani?
We book things from the night before all the way up until 1 year in advance. So sometimes when we're on one trip and if we're flying non-rev, we will just change our location and go somewhere else. So it all works out because you can find a lot of good deals at the last minute on points too. Even staying at Hyatt hotels, there's usually a room available. How about you, Mitch?
I'm kind of with all of you. We're always planning every day. It seems like we've always got a trip that we're looking up a year in advance, next week. And I think that's what's great about points and miles is it affords us the ability to kind of cancel or book whenever we want and whenever we don't want. So it's one of those great things about being into points and miles that works out for us really well. All right. Thanks, everyone. I love these quick answer questions from our viewers and listeners. It's a lot of fun. So thank you for asking them, and make sure to follow us on Instagram and jump in on our next question poll that we have for you. That's it for now. I want to thank all of our hosts, Serena from Passion for Points.
Bye.
Kay Halani from Points to Travel Expert.
Aloha.
Miguel from Travel Sergeant. Nicole from Nicole's Travel Tips.
See you guys next week.
And I'm Mitch Shannon from Sea to a Suite. Remember to like and subscribe to this audio and video podcast wherever you find us on social media. Thanks for watching and listening. Watch for our next episode soon.